In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use your colored pencils to draw and shade paint splats. I'm working on 9" by 12" plain drawing paper. You will need a pencil, eraser, and a standard pack of colored pencils. Feel free to draw with me. First, I'm going to lightly draw, in pencil, an organic shape. An organic shape is a shape found in nature that has random curves and edges and is unpredictable. We always draw lightly in case you have a weird shape that you want to erase. In this drawing, we want to replicate what appears to be a paint splat which has fallen on a table or other surface. Using your colored pencils, select about 3 colors that are in the same color family. Then outline your organic shape with your dominant color. You want to make sure it's a darker color because when we add the shadow later, it will blend together. Now it's time for highlights. Very lightly, with your same color, add some bubble shapes inside the more rounded areas of your splat. This is going to help our splat look more three-dimensional later. Now you're going to lightly shade in between to connect to the outside edge. Shading creates a range of value. Value is the lightness and darkness of a color. When shading with colored pencil, you don't want to make it too dark too fast. Start lightly because we'll be building up different colors. Be sure to take your time and keep your shading consistent all the way around. Next, we're going to blend with our second color. This color should be lighter than your first color. And if you have a larger pack of colored pencils, you will have a wider range of colors to choose from. You're basically going to blend with this color in the same way that you applied the first color. Always start light and then press a little more towards the edges. Don't press too hard at first. Colored pencil can be erased, but it doesn't compare to gradually building up your layers. Going back to your dominant color, we're going to focus on darkening areas, but keep the highlights white. Realistic paint splats have very deep shadows that curve around. So take your time really focusing and building up this color. This is when you can start to press a little bit harder to add that dimension. You can see that I'm taking my time to avoid those highlight areas, and I'm pressing down closer to the edges of the paint splat. You can notice how my colored pencil is moving with the shapes of the edges of the paint splat. It's curving around, not really going against much of the rounded shapes. It curves with the shapes. Next, add a different color that is unexpected. Green is a cool color, so it's still in the same color family as blue and violet, but it's still different enough to add interest and vibrancy. It's not overpowering my dominant color though. The paint splat is still very violent. This color just kind of adds a little something extra. Next, we're going to blend things together with white. So if you have a white colored pencil, you can experiment with blending around your highlights. It's not used to add highlights, but it's used to enhance and smooth your colors to create more harmony. So it smooths out any sort of coarse little textures within your colored pencil. Next, using a black colored pencil, we'll add shadows to bring out the darkest areas of the splat. Notice how I'm not darkening all the way around the splat. If I darken all the way around, it will make the splat appear too flat. I'm only darkening the areas that appear to be underneath. In the next splat, we'll test some color theory knowledge and use complementary colors to create shadows in a different way. Because sometimes black can be a little bit too overpowering in a drawing or painting. Create a cast shadow with black underneath your splat to really make it look more three-dimensional. Do so lightly because the value of the shadow is not quite the darkest value in our drawing. It's kind of somewhere in the middle. So use a light amount of pressure with your colored pencil to create a cast shadow that's beneath your darkest areas. So these shadows are really tucked in the areas closest to the splat and where we want to intensify that depth. Finally, you can always go back and touch up areas with your dominant color, and also you can enhance your cast shadows with violet. It really adds a little bit more of a richness to your shadows if you add violet to them. So I'm just going back in with that dominant color and really just focusing on pulling out certain little areas to really define the contours or edges of this paint splat. For this next paint splat, I'm going to change up my colors a little bit. So sketch out your organic shape lightly in pencil and outline in the new dominant color of your choice. So this time I'm choosing red. And I'm going to show you a different way, like I mentioned earlier, how to add shadows using complementary colors. So you'll lightly add those highlight areas and then connect with light shading in between. I'm using a little bit of yellow to blend and add more harmony together. I like to use yellow because it really brightens things up a bit. The shadow, I'm using a complementary color this time. On the color wheel, green is the opposite of red, which is my dominant color. So when they're combined, it creates a dark neutral color. Using opposite colors or complementary colors adds more dimension and interesting shadows to your drawings. So remember to go back to your dominant color to blend and refine areas. use white to smooth out those highlight areas. So this is unifying everything and smoothing out any sort of grainy texture left from the colored pencil. Don't forget to add that little cast shadow. Switching back to the black colored pencil, adding a light shadow underneath my splat and all the edges. So it looks like the light is shining down from up above. I'm adding a little bit of violet to make those shadows a bit richer in color. This last one is going to be a quick little green paint splat. Again, using that complementary color to add in shadows and add more dimension. Just gradually building up many layers of colored pencils. There you have it. So that's how to layer and blend colored pencils to draw paint splats. This was a Hammer Time production. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.